If they want to get you, they'll get you. The NSA specifically targets the communications of everyone. They're collecting your communications.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is time once again for Thought Crime Thursday. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard. Welcome to Thought Crime IRL, where I am joined by my esteemed colleague, Andrew Kolvet. Andrew.
Hola, ¿qué tal? No he hablado mucho español hace una década o más, pero estoy aquí.
Fantastic.
Gracias, team. Team, bienvenidos.
Fantastic. And we are joined now by, of course,
Tim Pool. I never introduced myself on the show. Welcome to Timcast IRL. In fact, it's actually Thought Crime IRL. We have joined forces to do something strange and crazy.
Whoa.
And we hit a bit of a snag on the way in. This is what happens. I think we're streaming to like 8 channels. It's nuts. And we were like, hey, let's do something really big and crazy. So we did. We do have big news. Elon Musk is going nuclear on these woke NGOs that have been smearing, lying about people, and inflaming tensions. He's been tweeting, retweeting, and what did he say? He said the SPLC is guilty of incitement against Charlie Kirk.
1,000%. I mean, it's provably
incitement
correct.
of the murder of Charlie Kirk. Guilty of incitement.
We're going to talk about that, but we do
And we
have
the receipts.
Indeed. It's going to be big, and we got a lot more to talk about too. But we do have a sponsor for you guys. It is Perplexity.ai Comet browser. This is actually big news. Rumble announced a partnership with Perplexity. This is one of the coolest things in tech right now. I'm actually really impressed. Shout out to the Rumble crew and Perplexity. And check out their Comet browser. Let me ask you guys something. How much time do you spend every day on a web browser? How much time do you spend clicking around online, searching, scrolling, typing, endless tabs? It's a lot, right? Well, there's a new AI web browser from Perplexity called Comet that is completely changing the way you're able to interact with your browser. Using Comet feels like you've got a personal assistant living in your web browser that can actually do things for you across the internet. This is actually crazy. It can do things. It can literally click, type, search, scroll. This is nuts. It can order food. It can order DoorDash, Domino's. It can book personalized restaurant reservations. It can buy stuff on Amazon. Book a flight or a hotel, prep you for your day, send messages or emails, schedule things, search, respond, and analyze comments under a post or pull up videos, tabs, or moments. That's pretty cool. Download Perplexity's new AI web browser, Comet, by heading to pplx.ai/Timcast. Let your browser do the work for you. Plus, right now, when you download Comet, you get a month of Rumble Premium for free. And guys, this is big news. I think we should probably talk about it a little bit. Rumble doing this deal with Perplexity. This is huge. You know, we're big fans of Rumble. And also, I definitely want to talk about censorship because we won. They unbanned our Joe Rogan, Alex Jones episode.
Wow.
We'll get into that. But
That was
Jack,
the last crossover that you did.
I know.
And here we are again.
Here we are. So, I mean, let's get into it. This Elon Musk thing. You want to take it?
Well,
Jack?
wait. There's one more person here. There's one
Oh,
more
man.
person here.
Yeah, well,
I'm the minority here, really, out
Yeah,
of
I
everyone
know.
here. And
Well,
you guys
you're Polish.
totally
You're
just
in the
ignore me
majority.
here. Yeah,
Well, actually, we're the majority right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm the only immigrant here. But orale, Luke Rudowski, youtube.com/we are changed. Lots to talk about. The SPLC has been attacking me since 2010, so I'm very happy that now we are trending towards finally holding them accountable for their
I
horrible
want a
actions.
lawsuit against them.
Yeah.
I mean, what Elon Musk, by the way, this is ongoing. Elon Musk has basically declared war on the SPLC, and he basically, so yesterday, right, was the ADL's day, and today has become the SPLC's day, and it's so prescient, and Elon Musk is really driving this train. Yesterday we saw the FBI sever their relationship with the ADL, and a number of people, including the great Greek, he's a demigod, really, Pericles Periabasi of Chicago, who was proudly married to a woman, by the way, alpha male. And he dug up the fact that not only was the ADL going after a Turning Point, but he dug up the fact, and Elon has actually just retweeted this, that on the day before Charlie Kirk was assassinated, the SPLC included him and Turning Point USA in their monthly Hate Watch newsletter. And he wrote, the SPLC has blood on their hands. So that's great, Perry Abbasi. I started tweeting about that. Andrew started tweeting about that. And then, Andrew, you found a tweet, and this is what's so crazy, because we said ADL was number one and SPLC was number two. Yeah. You found a tweet from someone from a couple years ago Who was that? And what was that tweet?
This was great. This was from Charlie. The date was, I think we have this tweet, guys. I just flagged it for him just to make sure they get it. But it says, whatever it was in the past, today the ADL is a hate group that dons a religious mask to justify stoking hatred of the left's enemies. There it is right there. I believe in the First Amendment and free speech as a principle, regardless of what the law says. I don't want to ban anyone's speech, but the ADL has no place extorting X, Twitter, or any other social media companies, nor should it dictate to federal law enforcement agencies what hate speech is. The ADL itself is America's #1 purveyor of hate speech, parenthesis, and the SPLC is #2.
So for those that don't know, there are a network of nonprofits, foundations, or organizations that do a multitude of things. The Anti-Defamation League is one, ADL. The Southern Poverty Law Center, the other. They do effectively the same thing. They smear people on the right. They accuse them of being the worst possible monsters or hateful or white supremacists. This is used to incite run-of-the-mill default libs who don't know better. Because what will happen is you'll get some corporate news outlet, and they'll say, Jack Posobiec, comma, who was called a white supremacist by the Southern Poverty Law Center, comma, says X. They can inject that into articles, and then what happens? Wikipedia editors will cite the corporate press saying, Jack Posobiec is a known white supremacist, and they'll link to the corporate press. It's how they launder fake news, smears, and manipulations. So when Elon is saying they incited people to murder Charlie Kirk, he is correct.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at what they are doing, it's not just smearing people. They associate people with the KKK and neo-Nazis. So when they started attacking me in 2010, they were able to get a group of all the We Are Change chapters all around the world, groups that I didn't even know existed. And they were like, okay, here's We Are Change, here's the KKK, and here's where the KKK is located, and here's a We Are Change chapter. And I'm like, what do I have to do with the KKK or the neo-Nazis? But they lumped it in, and this is where the conversation got really violent. It started in 2010, and then they started to do a Patriot hit list. And they put me on there, they put Ron Paul on there, they put Alex Jones on there, and they said, watch out for these dangerous guys. And then they went to federal and local law enforcement, and they said, keep track of these guys, spy on these guys. In 2018, they officially partnered with YouTube. In 2019, they officially partnered with PayPal, and they censored individuals who had different opinions. All I was doing is raising questions and asking questions about 9/11, working with family members, but that was somehow equated to being a neo-Nazi and working with the KKK.
And I'll give a great example of this. So you mentioned 2010, and here we are, it's 2025. In 2014, do you know who the SPLC added to their extremist hate watch list? Dr. Ben Carson.
Yep.
Ben Carson in 2014.
The sweetest man you've ever met.
The sweet, I remember him, at the memorial just ranting and raving, spreading his hatred and I mean, and then what was it? It was because, here he comes in as a Christian. He was standing in defense of traditional marriage, which of course is a core Christian belief, of just very basic Christian belief about marriage. And they named him an extremist because of this.
So to your point, and this is 100% right, they can just basically willy-nilly label anybody, right? And then you mentioned, Tim, that they launder this through. So go ahead and I just today, because I was Googling it, I was like, Charlie Kirk, SPLC. Oh.
Wait, are we doing a line change already? Are we line changing?
No, not yet.
No.
That's funny.
Why is that music playing
I
for some
have no
reason?
idea.
I don't know.
Why would they? That's very bigoted.
Something must be wrong in the
It's
production.
very bigoted.
Yeah,
I don't know what's
yeah.
going on
It's
there.
okay, though.
It's
Patches
better
have
than
been
the.
racist.
Anyway,
get
so
there.
I Google Charlie Kirk
Our
SPLC.
original producers got deported, so
It's true. Well, I'm the token Hispanic on the. I'm quarter Mexican. People
You're
don't
quarter
know this.
Mexican?
People don't know this. Yeah, my grandpa said we were Spanish, though. It's a long story. Thank you. Yes. That was actually well done. Better job on the second one. All right.
wait,
So,
why did you start wiggling when that song came on?
I can't help it.
You can't
It's-
help it.
Yeah.
I changed their hate watch list to enemies of the leftist revolution, just so that people understood what they were actually trying to say.
No, that's exactly right.
That's exactly. So I just Googled this. So throw this up, throw 347 up. And I found this. This is literally, I Googled it. Charlie Kirk, SPLC. This is the second article, Tim. And it's Charlie Kirk, white supremacist, dead at 31. Second article that if you just Google Charlie Kirk, SPLC. And then, of course, go to 348. You look at it, and it's like, a cornerstone of supremacist logic. And they link to the SPLC. So do you see how they do it? They just, and by the way, this has been seen, I guess, 30,000 times about.
Well, and then what happened in May?
Yeah, well, in May, I mean, of course, and actually, this is Elon Musk gave me a retweet tonight, or a quote tweet.
Let's go.
And
by the way, thank you to Elon, seriously, for taking on this fight. He doesn't have to do this, and he didn't have to take on the ADL. He didn't have to buy X. He didn't have to come out here, but it was the right thing to do. And he's even. And I just got to say thank you on a personal level as well, because David Sachs had tweeted a thread out earlier today saying that, look, when you Google Stephen Miller, the very first thing that comes up is the SPLC. If you Google Jack Posobiec, the very first thing that comes up is the SPLC. Yeah. And there's no rhyme or reason for this whatsoever. It's not like people are linking back to it, but it's always there. So Elon not only tweeted it out, he also put in the comments, he CC'd Sundar Pichai, the CEO of Google, and is like, what's going on?
Well,
here?
I mean, listen, if ever there is a time to get vehemently pissed off about this stuff, they just murdered Charlie,
the man who should be sitting in this chair right now, tonight.
This chair. And I can't tell you that the assassin read the SPLC hate map article about Turning Point that was added in May, but what I can tell you is that it contributes to an ecosystem of radicalism. And Tim, we talked about this on your show earlier this week. It is a they. It is a they, right? Yes, the assassin is personally responsible, but it is a they because it's part of an ecosystem of radicalization, and you're seeing it in the polling where 30% of progressives between the age of 18 and 39 believe that violence is totally justifiable politically.
Well, because it's one movement, and that's the issue. It's often described very interestingly, what is the left and the right? And you can be you take a look at some of these people in the space. Joe Rogan's a great example. He's a bit of a lefty. He's the example, right? And they call him right-wing or far-right because he's not in the cult. So when you see AOC on the House floor disparaging and smearing Charlie Kirk, she is proselytizing her to her cult. She is giving a sermon to her fake non-theistic this non-theistic religion. They are adherents to it. Mm-hmm. When you go to their meetings, their protests, they say, respect the diversity of tactics. What that means is we are all part of one movement.
That's right.
And here's the real secret. What they're actually saying, they'll go in and say, no, look, here's the thing. The other activists that come here and want to find a way to change the world may not agree with you, but we're fighting for the same cause, so let them do it. What they're not telling you, those guys over there work for us. Mm-hmm. They're telling you, you don't have to feel bad about the violence they commit. They're a different group. They're not. That's the game.
Maybe you guys know this, but did the FBI cut their ties with the SPLC? Because they've been working with them for an extremely long time. And if there ever was a time and opportunity to cut ties with the SPLC, it is now. But I want to go further.
Yeah, that is one of the action items that we're calling for. We're calling for the FBI. We're calling for Amazon Smile. And any other federal law enforcement or any of these organizations.
But we should take it further, not just to stop working with them, but I want disclosures. I want to know who the ADL was working with on the FBI with to spy on what commentator, on what personality, what work were they doing? And if Kash Patel is listening, I hope he does full disclosures, not just cutting off the ties.
And believe it or not, so when everyone remembers the huge scandal for Catholics that the FBI was surveilling and investigating and infiltrating Catholic groups that were, praying the rosary a little bit too hard, and how it was completely insane. It became this national scandal. That operation was shut down when Kash Patel got in, thank God. But one thing that people missed, and Elon actually just quote tweeted me because I was pulling up some of my old reporting, that investigation was predicated on an SPLC report about Catholics. So they used an SPLC article as a quote unquote, what Luke is saying here is 100% correct. And this is just a very famous example that people have to understand where this stuff comes from. So the SPLC writes the article, then the FBI sees it and says, oh my gosh, we have to start an investigation. Then they get approval to start infiltrating Catholic churches.
And spying and tracking and doing all these illegal things.
It gets better. Can we pull up this article that I got here? This is from the Post Millennial. Recently polled Apple TV show about online hate group researcher was inspired by ADL's anti-extremism work.
This is the Jessica Chastain show. The
That's
Savant.
right. That's right. Check this out.
Are you serious?
This is from Post-Millennial. Apple TV's polled series starring Jessica Chastain was based on the ADL's a researcher tasked with monitoring online hate networks. The show, originally scheduled to launch at the end of September, was postponed. The New York Times reported the decision came after the assassination of Charlie Kirk earlier this month. So here's the funny thing. This show is basically a girl boss, liberal cultist wet dream where she goes online and LARPs and then uncovers plots from white supremacist groups, and then they go and break them up. When the show got canceled, or it's pulled, suspended, who knows, maybe it'll come back, Jessica Chastain then went on Instagram and gave this long tirade about the extremism on both sides. You know, the right did this and the left did this. It's more important than ever that we have a show like this on the air. The reality, this is how they launder culture. They create a movie about the ADL so that people who don't know better think this is what life is like. And I will stress to you guys, I know there's a lot of people watching right now. You're smarter. I get it. That's why you're watching our show, Thought Crime, all these shows. You're a discerning individual. But there are many people in this country that think the world is like movies. Why do you think liberals want to ban silencers? Suppressors, I'm sorry. Because they think they go pew, pew, pew. Because they've never actually seen one.
Right.
They base their worldview off of movies. That's why they make shows like this, to launder this idea of what the ADL is doing.
Well, and Tim, not only that, but and we still haven't gotten, I'd love to get, by the way, like a media screener of this or something, because they pulled this show, and Andrew, I think you remember, it was like the day after Charlie died. It was one of the first things that we saw, and no one had been talking about this show. There'd been like a meme about it, but nobody, like, certainly, obviously, we weren't in a place to think about shows. Nobody thought there was any connection between that show and Charlie Kirk. But do you remember? Okay, so this is a theory that's gone out since then about this show specifically. Do you remember, and Tim, I know we talked about the other night, the Groyper hoax that was spread by so many on the left, up to and including, in a sense, Jimmy Kimmel, that a Groyper had been the one pulling the trigger to shoot and kill Charlie. Well, so many people were tweeting that out that the theory was that perhaps a screener of the Savant had gone out, and what if that was a plot that had actually been in there, and that's where they all got the idea from.
Just like South Park.
Just like South Park, because they were saying, oh, wait, they're like, it seemed like they were really scared about something in that show.
Bro, do you know about the show Utopia?
Oh, yeah, that's a wild
I know
one.
about it, but
They have to have a disclosure in the beginning
Check
saying
this out.
this is not real life events.
There was a
What's
show
that?
that came out. I was at Amazon, I think, right?
Yes.
And it was about a tech billionaire who was concerned about climate change. He had produced fake meat and was trying to get people to eat it because he wanted to reduce carbon emissions. He secretly worked behind the scenes to create a pandemic scare so that he could get the government to force vaccinations on people, thinking it would vaccinate them from this pandemic, but it sterilized them instead.
Yep. Population
wait,
control and eugenics.
and when did this come out?
Wait, why
a
is,
couple years ago.
Why is
Yeah,
your
like 20,
T-shirt?
was it 2020, I think?
Why
Let me
is your
pull it up.
T-shirt taped?
What is-
Well, there's
Given that story.
Well, there's some kids watching, and it might not be the best and the most appropriate thing. But
2020.
I'll tweet about it.
Yo, it
at
came out in
Luke Weird Change.
Stop
2020.
it. When
So,
in
but that
20
means it was
right before-
produced,
right
so it would have been
before
produced in
COVID.
2019.
Yeah,
like,
it-
written
it
in
gets better.
18.
when in 2020 was it? Did it release?
I don't
Yeah,
know
I mean,
if
to
I
your
have the
point, it
exact-
was produced
September.
in 2019.
September. So it gets better. The premise of the show is all of that, but there is an individual with knowledge of the plot who wrote a comic book. And in the comic book, it reveals the plot. So the idea is if you get a copy of this comic book, Utopia, you will know the plan the elites have for the world. What a ridiculous story. I mean, for us, we just have a TV show on Amazon about elites.
Yeah, we just
who
live
have a
it in
fake
real life.
pandemic.
Totally not connected. Totally not connected to anything at all that's going on in the world.
But to go to the back to the topic of the SPLC, because I think it's important to talk about. A couple years ago, there was a terrorist-inspired event that a leftist lunatic used SPLC information in order to shoot up the Family Research Council.
Floyd
A
Lee
lot of people
Corkins.
forget that they not only put people on hit lists, but they were the inspiration for a terrorist attack before. So what Elon Musk is talking about right now is of critical key importance. Kash Patel needs to get on this right now. He needs to provide disclosures. He needs to provide us information, what's happening behind the scenes, what was really going on, and why was federal police hijacked by these leftist woke institutions that literally put us on hit list. I was there since 2010, and I remember seeing this terrorist attack, and I'm like, I'm on that list that this lunatic looked at. That happened in 2012, and I'm like, they're literally attacking me. And I tried to reach out, and they actually contacted me, and they're like, we'll give you the benefit of that. Let me interview you. So I recorded the interview with the SPLC. I was like, you guys don't understand. We're raising money. We're working with first responders. We're working with family members. We're working with rescue workers, survivors. And I laid it all out. They took my quotes out of context and then wrote an article talking about how I was a violent extremist. When I never even said any of those things I did, lied and slandered me, and then put me on this target list that radicals use to kill people.
Jack, this reminds me of, sorry, Tim, but this reminds me of, in one instance, tried to work in good faith with
you
a
talk about
certain
that?
SPLC person.
Gosh.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
but I just said, Jack, let me see, because they were coming after Jack, and I was like, I'm going to just, let me see, because actually I looked at his questions, like, there's really
because they were reaching out to Turning
obvious,
Point for like an official blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, well, no, and there was obvious explanations for the questions he was asking. We built timelines, I explained all this stuff, and I spent a lot of time.
We like explained the anatomy of a meme and like put the timeline out that showed very clearly.
Oh, is this the OK hand symbol or something?
It was along those lines, yeah.
So I tried to do it, and then the thing came out, and it was just exactly what you said. It was a complete smear job, hit job, and
let me tell you guys a story. So in 2018, an article was put out by the SPLC, which included me. It was written about a bunch of people who are, I guess you'd call them lefties, progressives, and it was called The Multipolar Spin: How Fascists Operationalize Left-Wing Resentment. What they were basically saying was, here's a spattering of people who are on the left, but they're secretly fascists. I was included in this. I think Max Blumenthal was included in this. And here's the best part. They called me alt-right. I'm mixed race, as everyone knows. And they said that I had gone to Iran for a Holocaust deniers conference.
Tim, why did you do that? You shouldn't do that.
really-
I've never been to Iran in my life.
really tone deaf.
And their source
Read the room, Tim. Read the room.
An archive of at the time, the website had been deleted. It was some blog in Iran from some Holocaust denier who wrote a thing claiming I had been to Iran, which was made up. So we actually filed a lawsuit against them. They issued an apology and took it down. Because my challenge to them was, if you want to claim that I'm an alt-right guy who went to Iran for a Holocaust deniers conference, I have no problem having you go to court and tell a judge your source is a conspiracy theory website from Iran that was deleted. I want that on the record, and then we'll run. Well, so they were like, okay, we're taking it down. Not to mention, when they went after Max Blumenthal, he was like, I'm going to call my dad. And they were like, we'll delete it. I'm half kidding. I don't know exactly how that went down.
They went after.
I was sitting here
They
going,
went after.
all right, that's cool. That's our line change. I'm gonna
do hot swap. Hot swap.
Blake's
all right,
taking
time for the
my
hot
spot.
swap. All right,
He's
hot
much
swap.
more interested in
Blake
me.
is coming in. Blake is coming in. He's
Blake,
coming
you
in
look
hot.
extraordinarily
He's coming in hot.
appropriate with that sombrero
Here we go.
and a mustache and beard. Okay, it's all you, brother.
Wait, Blake, why do you have that crazy mustache on? That crazy fake mustache? We can't talk yet. Dios mío! Ay caramba! Oh no! Why are we all talking like this for some strange reason?
Oh, because I ordered guac for the office and we got really excited.
Wait, you ate guac? You didn't share?
Well, you didn't have any. Everybody was eating it.
No, I was like getting the show ready. I was looking at tweets. Elon's like pulling me up.
I was sitting back. I was like, hey guys, instead of doing the show like normal, make Jack do the work. Let's eat guacamole.
He guacked me. He just guacked me on my own
And
show.
when they delivered the guac, they just asked if we play the music.
Did you get the guac?
I think I did. Yeah, I got guac. But the thing is, I don't like guac, so I kind of just let it sit there and turn like brown or whatever.
No, I can't have that. I can't have that. So Blake, we've been talking about the SPLC. We were talking about it earlier today. Just get your take on this. What do you think about the fact that Elon Musk has just picked up the baseball bat and is just like beating down the Poverty Palace, which, by the way, that's Tim, do you know that's what they call the SPLC's headquarters, the Poverty Palace?
What?
Yeah, we should, by the way, guys, we've got to get a picture up of, I should have said this before, I was not working very hard in prep. We have got to get a picture of the SPLC's headquarters. It's literally a glass palace. So Blake, your thoughts?
They live
on
in a
this?
giant glass house.
Yes.
And yet they throw stones.
They sure do.
So many
Isn't
stones.
it funny the names they choose for these organizations, though? The Southern Poverty Law Center.
Yeah.
It makes people think that it's like a liberal welfare organization that does legal work for hungry
I'll
children.
tell you what it's supposed to do. It's exactly named so that people will think that it is like a 50s, 60s era like civil rights organization. Like the what was MLK's group was like Southern Christian Leadership.
Yeah, it's a very
something
similar name, yeah.
So they're clearly evoking that. Yeah, I think it was founded in 1970 or so, and then it just immediately began its direct mail campaigns to scam neurotic housewives out of their money.
We had an event in Jersey several years ago that it was called, I forgot what it was called, but it was called something, I forgot the name of it, but the subheader was Ending Violence, Racism, and Authoritarianism. And Daryl Davis was our headline speaker. And literally it was, I guess I would liken it to a centrist type, debate on morals. Antifa called it a white supremacist event and threatened to burn the theater down. And I'm like, it's literally called Ending Racism, Violence, and Authoritarianism. They were like, yeah, we don't care.
And Blake, so you mentioned the scamming. There have been liberals who have. Oh gosh, here's the picture. Tim, look at this. This is their headquarters.
Ugh.
The Poverty Palace.
It looks like you could hit a button and it would like transform into something that does battle
So
with Optimus Prime.
their endowment currently, according to their 2024 release, is almost $900 billion. Excuse me, $900 million.
That's nuts.
$900 million.
900 billion. That'd be like
No.
Norway
I
sovereign wealth
was
fund
thinking in my head,
levels.
it's almost $1 billion. It's almost $1 billion. So just under $1 billion they've raised through these scams. And there have been liberals and leftists and even communists, like the people over at Current Affair, that have come out and said, yeah, this is obviously a scam. Former employees have come out. It's obviously a scam. What they're doing is they're claiming that they're doing all this work to fight the hate, when essentially all they're doing is targeting people for hate and then shaking down again like old liberals for money. They also, Tim, you'll appreciate this, they take that money and a bunch of it they'll send tens of millions, I think 30 million, according to Tyler O'Neill over at Daily Signal, is sent down to the Cayman Islands for tax purposes as a tax haven right now. So the amount of
Very
fraud,
southern poverty.
yeah, very southern, extremely southern in the Gulf of America. So when you look at this, it's so ripe, not just for, by the way, federal investigation for wire fraud and mail fraud, because anything you do by mail is, of course, federal, but Alabama, it is the reddest of the red states. And yet they sit right there in Montgomery, Alabama, in their poverty palace, and no one does anything. Wait a minute. Oh my gosh. So, guys, do you see that? So on the side up here, there we have MSNBC playing. You guys can't see it. MSNBC is literally running an SPLC ad right now. That's MSNBC up in the top right.
Wow.
There's the music. As we're talking about this.
And help fight hate, they say.
Fight hate, and they've got T-shirts. They're advocating for change.
Oh, there's
blah, 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 blah. And they're talking about
they got the
That
FBI
really looks like one of
fed
those
data.
clips that people think is just feds faking it.
Yeah.
Holy moly.
And
You know what's really interesting is that all of the good
we did
people,
not play. That's actually a live MSNBC.
Did you
feed
notice
right
that in the
now.
commercial, all of the good people were black?
Yes, of course.
Like there was a lawyer who was black, the judge was black, the guy advertising was black. Then it showed the Patriot Front, a bunch of white guys in masks. Then it showed a bunch of black protesters. Is that who they're trying to fundraise off of, I guess?
Oh,
mean,
no,
it's-
they're definitely not fundraising.
No,
off of them,
Tim,
no.
are you drawing some connection there? No, there's no way. It's not possible. That's so crazy. We did not. So, yeah, the people can't see it because it's off screen, but we have a video wall here that just shows pretty much all the cable news channels. And the one that was playing, so we've got like CNN, we got MSNBC, of course, we've got RAV.
This next commercial is worse. It's mushroom coffee.
Ew. I will not drink
smiles.
the mushroom
Luke, I
coffee.
drink that.
I will not drink the mushroom coffee.
That is, I like mushrooms, but not in that way.
Blake, you do shrooms?
No,
No, Ian's coming later.
Ian will be here, sadly.
Speaking of mushrooms,
He'll pop up like a mushroom.
wait, is he actually coming? That is kind of a good segue. Oh, he's here. Wait, you gotta talk to the mic.
I love Mexican culture, and I do love suicide.
I know you do. I know you do. Do we want to swap? Are we hot
wasn't
swapping?
expecting to swap. Someone's just like, Ian, go. They're talking about
We already
psilocybin.
talked-
We'll swap in an hour out. So
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
We'll call you
Okay.
out. We'll call you out.
Yeah, you know, we did talk about mushrooms, so
Stay in the moment.
In a moment.
thank you, Ian. But no, it's. I mean, that's so crazy. This is how big they are. That MSNBC is just running this stuff all the time. So and by the way, so Blake, talk to me about the current demographic of an MSNBC primetime viewer that they're trying to target.
Okay, so the current demographic of an MSNBC primetime viewer, I'd say median viewer is probably 75 years old,
At least.
generously. It's very aged people who watch these left-wing cable primetime shows, and they basically need to constantly bombard them with fear porn. It's quite funny. Like if you read the direct mailers too that SPLC does, it's just very funny because they're basically trying to find rich or upper middle class housewives and being like, hey, remember that Holocaust? It's about to happen again if you don't donate to the SPLC's Poverty Palace. And, they really whip them up. It's so comical. They're always like, this is a barn burner. This is a record setter in hate. And there's more hate groups than ever. Jack.
Right, and this is why they've and Tim, this is why they have to expand the aperture, because there's a supply and demand issue to the point where Charlie Kirk, right, a guy who's never raised a hand in anger, who just wants to have dialogue and campus debate, gets ensnared in it.
Why is it so easy to be evil? This stuff doesn't work on the right. If we made something comparable and we called
standards,
it
rules.
the Northern elitist, law directive.
Yeah, if we
That's
were
not a
saying
good
Code
name.
Pink were a bunch of crazy radicals, and saying that they're extremists that are going to
They
hurt
are kinda
people.
crazy.
Well, whatever. They're still entitled to their opinion, and they're mostly
Yes, of course, of
nonviolent,
course.
and they do things pretty peacefully. And sometimes I agree with them. Actually, sometimes I absolutely disagree with them. But there isn't an
They're generally
effort to
anti-war
try to. They're anti-war people. If there was an effort to label them terrorists, I mean, that would be a little bit extreme. That would be kind of crazy.
I'm just saying the right doesn't have anything comparable where we create a fake organization with a fake name and then trick people into giving over tons of money.
Because that's not how the right operates.
Is it being
Right,
evil
the
doesn't
right,
work on the
right
right?
doesn't just sit there and go, oh my gosh. Like we don't make these crazy comparisons and say you remembered this thing from 85 years ago. It's about to happen again if you don't give us money right now. Like you can go and look at again. So I mean, Turning Point USA, right? Obviously we're here. I've got the shirt on. Charlie's the leader. Go look at a Turning Point fundraising drive. It's like, we're going to teach people about the Constitution, and we're going to talk about the Bible and talk about how great America is.
And let you come and have a debate in person. Everyone can hear what's going on. The video will be
debate
up
series
later.
is, of course.
Yeah.
That was the centerpiece of everything that Charlie did.
You guys want to talk about this story? Can you pull this one up? We don't need the audio for it. It's just an amazing video. This is an Antifa guy who dumped red paint at the ICE facility in Portland, and he found out. He found out. You can see here on the left this obese young man being arrested. And then what do you think his reaction was once he was actually in the
Probably
facility?
laughing, probably taunting.
Is that what you think?
Oh, yeah.
No,
of
he's
course.
shivering in fear and pleading for his life, terrified, because he thought he was playing a game. Look at him, shaking and terrified, begging for forgiveness. You can't really hear the audio in it. It's he's just in there shaking, terrified. These people that go out, they create the shield for the terrorists to hide in the bushes and shoot like we've seen in the past.
Yeah.
These people are stupid. They think they're playing a game. They show up to these facilities, they dump paint, and he's overweight. This dude, he doesn't look like he wants for anything. He's just bored and has no purpose. And now he found out. I think I'm happy to see ICE going to these extremist groups and having real law enforcement explain to them. And here's what I say. Tell me if you agree. I think he should get a month in jail.
Well, I think
month.
I'd want to see what all he did, though.
Sure, I'm saying for dumping paint,
If that's all he did,
criminal damage to federal property, take a guilty plea, 1 month, you go to federal lockup, and then all your friends can say, where did Enrique go? And you can say, he went to federal lockup. Why? Because he was attacking federal law enforcement
I'll say this:
officers.
a month minimum.
The reason why I think a month is
Because he didn't just do it; he did it as a member of this group, and so that's an enhancement.
yes. There's some pros and the cons in the weight of this. And actually, I think it'd be great if you guys want to chime in a second.
Wait, by the way, I just have to say though, can we throw up the original picture of him again, guys? Because I want to be clear. Like,
Which one?
The original picture of when he had his hands up there.
Oh, yeah.
Because when he had the red paint. Because when you see the red paint, it's very clear that they quite literally caught him red-handed.
Play the
Indeed,
music for
they
that
did.
one.
Sorry,
Well,
that's all I got.
So
And the music.
if you were doing, if you got like disorderly conduct, what do you get? You get a weekend of community service. If that, you get a slap on the wrist and a fine. He's.
We also don't know if he has priors.
This is indeed. But
That
I'm
does
just-
seem like
so.
what you're seeing in that video though is likely what they call shock of capture. So a guy who's been arrested before probably isn't going to react like that.
This looks to me like some chubby loser with no purpose who thinks he's playing a game. He splashed paint at the ICE facility. That's criminal damage to federal property. I don't think it's effective to throw him in lockup for a year because that could actually radicalize his friends. They actually rely on this. One of the strategies the far left uses is to intentionally get stupid people arrested, to then radicalize them because they'll tell you, wasn't the punishment excessive? So you got to find that happy medium where his friends will be like, I don't want to go to jail for a month. Screw that. But he gets out in time to where it's not like he was disappeared or anything. During a lot of these protests, what Antifa will do is they'll tell the average person, show up, stand here, wiggle your arms, and chant. They'll then tell they color code it. They'll tell the direct action group, that's what it's called, go in the middle of that crowd and throw a brick at a cop. What happens then is these dumb college kids who have no idea what's going on are standing there derping around. A brick flies in there, hits a cop. The cops say, okay, we're shutting this down. Starts grabbing people and arresting people. Once these people, these college kids who have no idea what's going on, end up in jail, they're panicking, they're shaking, they're terrified. That's how they recruit. Not kidding. They'll then have the direct activists, the direct action crew, be in jail and get arrested too intentionally and say, don't worry, we're here for you. Our lawyers are going to get you out. Isn't it crazy how evil these cops are? You didn't even do anything wrong. Sing with us. Hey, when you get out, call me. Here's my number. Write it on your arm, and we'll make sure you're safe. That's how they radicalize people.
Okay.
So with that being said,
What if we put them away
NLGs.
for 10 years?
the guy's friends will get radicalized.
Minimum.
His family will get radicalized, and his friends will get radicalized. So I'm not thinking about this in terms of the emotional satisfaction. If like the Antifa terrorists who know what they're doing and organize, 10 years, agreed. Their friends are already radicals.
So, by the way, have you ever heard the categorization of these various groups that you're talking about within the black bloc? The colors. Have you heard the colors?
Green,
scheme?
red, and yellow?
Yeah, green, red, and yellow.
Oh, yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
I
I've
was
been
like
in those
doing it that
meetings,
way.
bro.
So the greens are the ones who just kind of like march around and
they don't know.
They conceal, right? And they have no idea. Then the yellows are your organizers, your leaders, your directors, managers, and the yellows, by the way, travel around, highly organized. We were talking about the other night on Timcast proper that they are highly organized and clearly financed. And then the reds are just the crazies.
It's the direct action group.
Of direct action to say. And when I would infiltrate Antifa events, like prior to the attack on the Deplorable in 2017 at Trump's first inauguration, they would move someone around there, and they would say, and we would have like 200 people in a church basement, and they would say, okay, anyone who's interested in direct action, we're going to go over here into another room. But if you're interested in that, come on over here. And those are the reds. That's the top of the pyramid. There's fewer of them, but those are the ones that are going to commit actual violence.
Yep. And the green group is the doofy college kids who have no idea what's going on.
Right.
They don't want them to know. They want to radicalize them. And so they tell the direct action group, we need to get these people arrested, as many of them as possible. So you might see a flyer at a college and it's like, come march for this social injustice. And what the actual plan is there's going to be 3 guys who wear all black and masks. They're going to tell you to wear the same. They say, wear all black, wear a hoodie in solidarity. They're going to go up to a cop, hit him, or throw a water bottle or something to get you arrested intentionally so that you're terrified, because they know that the machine is cruel. But when you get arrested, the cops are like, don't care why you got arrested. Stand here, take your picture. And they're shaking and they're terrified. They've never been arrested before. They probably never had a job before. That's when they can strike. Oh, you poor thing. Look how evil police are. And then come meet us next Saturday and we'll explain everything to you. Then they get a new radical.
You know, I don't know. I'm
Blake,
not sure.
respond.
I'm not sure if it's just bad to radicalize. I would just say if they want to get radicalized because they're like, fafoing, and then they get radicalized and they do something more radical. Okay, 10 years,
But that's-
25. I don't care about filling up a prison with 50,000 of these freaks.
But what I'm saying is this guy's roommate gets radicalized, and you're making more protesters. That's what they want.
The number
you to
of
do.
protesters is irrelevant. What matters is if you're doing criminal stuff, if you're attacking cops, if you're destroying buildings, that instead of getting a slap on the wrist, that you are getting, oh, sorry, you're like an insurrectionist, you're a terrorist, you are going
This
to
is the
prison for the
mentality
rest
that's
of your
led to the
youthful life.
collapse of a bunch of countries because what the
Not El
left
Salvador.
does. Well, so I'm not talking about them going running up gangs and arresting them and putting them in prison. These are known gang
Isn't
members who are
Antifa-
terrorizing communities.
Isn't Antifa a version
This
of
is a
gang?
doofy, chubby kid who has no idea what's going on in the world who threw paint on the ground. And he's got a bunch of friends who are also doofy morons who have no idea what's going on in the world. I'm not talking about letting a guy who smashes a cop car go. I'm talking about the moron, chubby guy who's never been arrested before, never had a job, showing up to what he thinks is a playground for LARPing. And then when you guys say, lock him up for a year or longer, Antifa is like, yes. We tricked them into radicalizing more people that are going to fundraise on our behalf, that are going to make money for us and sustain us. You have to be strategic in how you handle their traps. So if a guy shows up with a gun, you arrest him. If a doofy chubby guy shows up, you say, this guy, I said a month. Why? Because he won't be disappeared. He'll get out in a month and say, I'm never doing that again. And his friends will be like, dude, I don't want to go anywhere near that stuff.
Yeah, but couldn't he also just get out in a month and say, I'm going to go do it again now?
Not the doofy retards who don't know anything about politics. He showed up because someone at his school said, do you want to come hang out after school? We're going to go protest ICE. And he went, what's ICE? And they said, the immigration thing. And he went, okay. He showed up.
I mean, he's not just a kid, though. He's over 18. He's in college, presumably, or at least college age. And he knows what a federal facility is. He knows what a police station is, at least.
Indeed.
And he knows that he's attacking
What
it.
is your goal?
I don't
What is your
see-
goal? What's your goal?
The goal
What do you
is-
want to happen?
The goal is to wipe out Antifa.
Okay, so if
And all the
Antifa
networks.
is setting radicalization traps, and this
Well, it's
guy,
not just Antifa. It's all of them. I mean, the radicalization is...
Here's the point.
much
Criminal
larger.
damage to federal property is, I think, a Class A misdemeanor, which has a maximum of a year in jail.
I love it.
So for a guy who's on a first offense and is a doof, I say a month in jail. So a month in jail, I'm not talking about pleading him down to community service. I'm saying you go to jail for a month. If you give him the maximum penalty right
Federal
away,
prison.
I wonder if
it's a federal facility. I don't know if it go to
We've talked about three strikes laws in general for habitual criminals. But I wonder if you could do something like actually specifically dedicated for sort of antisocial rioting, or maybe it is first offense, as you say, maybe a month, maybe even 2 weeks. But then it's like your second one, it like radically escalates.
Agreed.
And at your third offense for like specifically disruptive rioting type stuff, even if it's what would normally be misdemeanor stuff, once we're saying, oh, you're just a person who always is going out and like starting stuff with cops and attacking federal facilities. All right, 15 years minimum, have fun.
I say second offense a year. So my point is, when you see it, the Antifa is hoping to recruit stupid people who don't know what's going on. And so my view is, agreed, we want to wipe out Antifa, but I'll put it this way. One of the things they would talk about in these direct action meetings, this is what the activists would say to you. What would happen if you stood in the street and held up a sign and blocked traffic? What would happen?
Honestly, probably nothing.
No, code pick does all the time. Something happens, you get arrested. Okay. What happens tomorrow after the cops arrest you for blocking traffic? 10 more protesters show up angry that you got arrested. That's our goal.
That's how Occupy Wall Street grew, too.
That's how that was their plan. So during Occupy Wall Street, Anthony Bologna, pepper sprayed 4 women, and he created Occupy Wall Street. This is really important for the history. There were about 1,000 or so, maybe not even that many people.
A couple hundred. I was there on day one. It was only a couple hundred, not even.
I showed up on day 3 of Occupy. There was like 7 people. No joke. We were standing under a tarp in the rain. An NYPD cop walked up and he smiled and said, it's like, God bless y'all. And he left. 7 people. I said, should we leave? Why am I here? They told me, just wait till the weekend when people get off work, they're going to come. That weekend, there was a couple hundred people who started to march down the street. The police said, we're going to stop this march. It's unlawful. And they did what's called kettling and wrapped an orange net around them. 4 young women, and you can watch this video on YouTube, stood, they were outside of the march. They were not part of it. Anthony Bologna, who was I think he was a captain, I'm not sure, walked up to him for no reason and sprayed their faces. That video was uploaded instantly. It was the fastest viral video in the history of YouTube at the time. Over 1 million views in less than a day. That video created something like 30 or 40 Occupy chapters across the country and sparked a movement from 500 to 300,000 in one weekend. The direct action people do this on purpose. They said, how can we get the cops to slip up? Another really great example is they have a video where it's a white shirt in New York swinging a baton wildly, and they CGI'd it to be a lightsaber. And then they said the police were beating, like, haha, look, we made a meme. The police beat people for no reason. The full video shows the occupiers attacking the cops, then pulling back real fast. So when the cops respond with the attack, they can get a video of Antifa going like this with their hands up.
Which is exactly what that that ICE agent was in recently, where the woman looks like she's getting pushed for no reason.
She attacks him.
Because she had attacked him, and there's like 20 minutes of her just attacking him.
She attacks him. So Antifa will hit a cop, and then immediately 4 people will put their hands up. So when the cops start trying to arrest them, they can start the video at Antifa going like this.
Look, I mean, information warfare, propaganda, that is going to be part and parcel of this.
But I agree with Tim. We got to be smart about this, right? The facts of this case matter. I made this point a couple days ago. The left is waiting for their ICE George Floyd. And if they have it, it's going to be their major rallying call.
And they've been great to not have.
Yeah, you have to show restraint. I'm looking at videos. I don't know what this kid did with the paint, but it looks like there's some people who poured red paint on the sidewalk, and then they were putting it on their hands, and they were like, look at the blood on the hands that ICE has. And if this kid did that, I mean, it's not as egregious as throwing red paint on like an officer or somebody else. So the facts matter here, and I think we have to be super careful not to fall into the trap of the left and Saul Alinsky, who talked about this extensively, who sets up these traps for us in order to make us look like the bad guys. We're not the bad guys. We shouldn't be the bad guys. We should be tough, but at the same time, we got to be respectful of people's civil liberties and the Constitution and the Bill of Rights.
Right, but you don't have a civil liberty to be a member of a terrorist group, which Antifa has now been declared one. And, and what I would say, though, is in addition to all of this, when we're talking about, there needs to be a huge focus on the yellows, because when you work with the networkers, the trainers, the recruiters, the people who are actually, behind these mass movements, their ability to spread it will be broken. So I'm not saying like this is the only thing you do, but obviously it's going to be in tandem with those same operations going against the higher ups.
But this is my point. This guy would be a green. Some doofy college kid who has no idea what's going on. You want to be careful about how you interact with them, because they're hoping you do so that guy can become a yellow or a red. So the yellows, they should get RICO. These are the facilitators and the organizers of this who plan how everyone's going to go down.
This is a thing where Congress could actually do something. I hear the RICO thing a lot. What's not really well known, RICO was passed to go after the mob.
Yeah, Blake has a great piece on
there's
this.
sort of, when you read the RICO statute, the federal one, it basically says you need predicate crimes to go after organizations. And the predicate crimes they list are things the mob would do. And as a result, inciting a riot is not one of them. Yeah, it's drugs, it's homicide. It's, involvement in those.
So conspiracy to incite a riot
is not one of them.
Not something that's covered under RICO in current law.
All I'm going to say is, to change it, you would just need some sort of national legislative body that was perhaps controlled by your party.
Where are we going to get one of those?
To pass a modification of that law. But I don't know where we're going to get one of those.
They're not usually
right. So Tim, what he's saying is the RICO statute does not include inciting a riot.
Well, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the yellows. I'm talking about funding sources. I'm talking about people organizing.
That's what I mean. Right, so that's what we mean, though. Is
RICO.
What RICO is
you can't hold on. You can't use RICO against people who are part of organizations that launder money internationally. I'm not following.
But laundering. The thing is when you say launder money, like they're laundering money for a criminal enterprise, and the criminal enterprise is to enable and further civil disorder in the United States, to like cause riots, to get those people out of jail. Like most of their monetary stuff, like. They frankly don't need to launder a ton of money because they're not getting the money through criminal means. They're just getting rich idiots to donate money to them.
I bet in 10 minutes you could find somewhere. Here's a story. It was in, was it Nashville? This was several years ago. Antifa showed up to a restaurant and demanded that he put up a BLM flag. When he didn't, they started smashing his property. Okay, you got RICO. When they start going to businesses and threaten them, when you go to Berkeley and you see people putting up signs saying, please don't hurt us, and they put the symbols in their windows, this is RICO. So sure, if you want to approach it as simplistically as they riot sometimes, but that's not what we're talking about. The yellow category.
No, what he's saying is you could add it to the RICO statute to catch more.
Sure. Or and we could do that at the same time that they're working on that. We could be charging these people with under RICO and going after them for criminal enterprise.
Of course,
there's a lot more they do than just riot. I mean, there's organized terror attacks that's clearly outside of right, and the financial ties are easy. They fundraise off this stuff. So when they're engaging in criminal acts under the threat, putting people under the threat of force in order to get money, you've got RICO. So the most dangerous element, in fact, I don't think is actually the red category. These are the direct action guys who go on the ground and attack people. You arrest those guys, they're hoping they can get some of these greens radicalized and turned into reds. The yellows, these are the people who are connected to the NGOs, who are being paid salaries by some nonprofit for some. Here's it's actually really, really simple. Nonprofits are under very strict rules. Business is under very strict rules. I got to. Jack, you know this, and it's crazy. I have to explain this to people who've never run a business. You can't just hire someone for no reason. You running a company, I can't be like, hey, Luke, you want a job? Okay, I'll just pay you a salary. Not going to work. I have to write down what his job is. I have to give him a job title. I have to file that with the IRS, and I have to prove it. So if you ever get audited, they're going to say, show me Mr. Rutkowski's work and prove to me that he's doing it. Otherwise, you've committed a crime. When nonprofits, which are under stricter regulation, hire staffers and then tell them, hey, why don't you take the day off? Wink. And that person goes down to organize a protest. Now you've got serious business and fraud at the nonprofit.
And I can tie this back to the SPLC because remember Stop Cop City that was going on outside of Atlanta when they were attacking this police facility, Atlanta PD facility, training facility that was being built out in this forested area. And Antifa were like living in trees at one point and then conducting serious attacks on the facility, burning, Molotov cocktails, this type of thing. Well, at one point in one of the major assaults on the facility, there was an SPLC lawyer who was not there. And by the way, not there as a quote unquote legal observer, like when you see the guys in the green hats. Wow, it just hit something on my head. Oh, that's weird. I don't know what that is. And this was a guy who was actually participating in the assault itself.
Fraud. When you raise money for a charity that says we're going to lobby for environmental issues, but then your paid staff are going and organizing protests, you've defrauded the people who've donated to you.
100%
so there's a bunch of real easy ways to go after these people. And so anyway, just to kind of wrap it up, my point ultimately was put them all in jail. I was just saying, be careful about giving them the radicalization tools they need by being overbearing on some moron chubby guy who doesn't know what's going on. The guys in yellow should get 10 years. This is RICO stuff. This is mafioso. They go to businesses and legit, they'll say something like, hey, we want you to put this in your window. And they'll say, look, I'm not really interested. Be a real shame if there's a protest tomorrow. I mean, I can't imagine what the protesters are going to do. The business is here. Be a shame. Okay. And then wait, okay. Please don't hurt me. I'll put it in my window. Come on.
And that's classic intimidation. Getting back to the original point of RICO was racketeering and criminal organizations.
Racketeering influenced
criminal organizations.
Have you been to Berkeley?
And corrupt organizations, I think, is what it is.
Yes.
Have you seen how all the businesses have signs in their windows that either say, please don't hurt me, or we're leftists?
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure you see it all over the place.
I'm pretty sure the Chinese nail salon that was all immigrants didn't actually believe in Marxist-Leninism.
When I was in Chaz, and we had all the buildings around there, and I lived in Chaz for a week, and you would see the businesses, and people were trying as hard as they could, sushi places and car dealers and whatever it was, to put the signs up saying, and many of them, by the way, have now gone on to sue the city of Seattle, and I believe there may have been a settlement in that case where they said, you've completely deprived us of our rights. You allowed this organization of armed individuals to prey on us. You told the police to leave the area around the Capitol Hill, Cal Anderson Park, that neighborhood, which later then became the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone. And all of these businesses sued because their places were getting burned. They were getting squatted in. Nobody could work. There were also people who lived in there because it was mixed use. So those people couldn't even come in and out of their homes on a regular basis.
I think they have a video they want us to play.
Oh, there's a video.
and then we might do our swap.
We're hot swapping. We're hot swapping. Oh gosh.
Who else do we have after Ian?
I think that's it.
I think just Ian. All right, so
You think
we
it's
are
terrible how
hot
bigoted
swapping.
the president of the United States is being with all these memes about Hakeem Jeffries?
Es muy malo.
I thought we were doing that during. I thought we were
the
doing that to
outro?
cover the swap.
Yeah, I thought we were
All
doing
right,
that to cover
yeah.
it, but whatever.
And then is Andrew home back,
Whatever.
or are you
Anyway,
still
He might-
as I leave,
While
where
we
do
swap
you
them
guys see
out.
all the momentum going on the right? Because there's cultural victories against the ADL, the SPLC, YouTube, cultural victories against Netflix. Where do you guys want to see it to go? I mean, YouTube just took back our video with
We should
Alex
talk about
Jones and
that.
Joe
Yeah,
Rogan,
yeah.
which is huge. By the way, YouTube, you still have a whole bunch of my videos deleted. I would love them back, especially the ones with us talking with David Icke, predicting everything that happened that got taken down for COVID misinformation about 10, 12 years ago. That would be nice too. But anyway, I'll leave you guys with that question. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, we'll have you back on. We'll have you back
While
on
we
before,
swap out,
before we.
thank you,
Thank you guys so much for having
FJBF
me.
for
Ian,
$20
learn
on
consent.
Rumble.
You need it.
And
Hold
we got a
on. Let's,
five-
wait, Blake. Let's get Ian in real
That's
quick.
fair. That's fair.
Thanks, guys. I was just standing there.
Ian, there's headphones right
And
there
then,
for you.
by the way,
Thanks.
Blake, you have there are headphones if you want them, and
I'm
there
not
are
sure those
headphones
would
here as
fit
well.
over this object upon my head.
This
You
asteroid.
don't think What are you talking about?
So, yeah, big news.
gonna fit.
Last night, Google
Wait,
reinst-
who is this guy? Who's this crazy character next to us here?
I'm a space lord, man. Have you ever been to the moon, Jack? You think we've ever been to the moon? I don't want to derail this.
Have I been there? Have I been there? I haven't been there today.
I have.
What today? Earlier today?
Yeah.
You went for lunch?
Went there for donuts.
Oh yeah.
You know we're on the precipice of like a material science
free?
revolution. We're
There's,
about to
there's a
upend-
Dunkin' up there. There's Dunkin' everywhere, bro.
But it's not free donuts. You have to pay.
I had to pay, yeah.
Moonbucks.
Moonbuck.
Yeah, Moonbucks.
Well, let's talk about using authoritarian crackdowns on whatever.
All right.
Just on Ian.
There we go.
Just on Ian.
Wait,
So I
on
don't
what?
wanna-
On you or on us or on the
Talk to me-
show?
Yeah, everybody everywhere.
Hey, look,
Let's
man,
go.
I don't know what you're into, but we're not talking about that.
Gentle,
You know?
gentle. I think it's a time for like virtue because you guys were talking about self-restraint a lot. That's actually temperance. It's one of the 7 virtues.
There you go.
see?
There you
and,
go.
And holding the virtue, like the kindness that people inhibited and embodied
Let's
after
go.
Charlie
7
was
virtues.
killed
Here we
was like-
go.
Yeah, it was. I mean, there was a moment for people to rage, and people just held back. They
Well, so,
had
so
kindness and appreciation
before
for
we,
what
and
they
I know you want to hit stuff, but so Ian, we're here. This is Charlie's studio, and this is the chair of Charlie Kirk. This is the chair where he sat, did his shows for years, day in, day out. You know, when he was, obviously here locally, you could see some of the personal effects himself, his children, that he left. We haven't changed anything since the last time he was sitting here, and we talk about these things on a daily basis, and they get really real. They get real. Blake here was standing about 3 steps away when it all went down. A lot of the staff that's currently working were there with him that day, and I don't want to like derail the vibe here, but it's real.
What concerned me was at his funeral, the memorial, where everybody, Trump was there, Stephen Miller was there, and I caught some clips where, Erica's like truly experiencing a level of forgiveness, which comes from like kindness and humility, and those are virtues. And then Trump's like, I hate my opponents. Let me get this entire thought out before you chime in. I hate my opponents, which is wrath, which is the sin opposite of patience, the virtue. And to exhibit sin, like if you live in virtue, you're living with Christ. You're like Christ. If you live in sin, you're anti-Christ. So everybody can exert a moment of anti-Christ behavior by embodying the sins. And when Stephen, particularly, I'd love to hang out with Stephen Miller and talk about this, because when he issued a threat to all of our opponents, he spoke and then he said, and to all those that oppose us, you are hateful. But he was broadcasting this. That threat should have went on a direct channel to the opponent. To broadcast a threat terrorizes the populace. So I think
Well, I would argue the populace is currently being terrorized by the people killing Charlie Kirk.
And he was
others.
speaking to those people who were listening. They weren't being terrorized by him. They were being comforted by him.
it's like saying in Minecraft, you are a hateful person. And I'm like saying
But
it right
let me
to you.
well, actually let me ask you this though. But so you say that, but Stephen Miller and President Trump are both currently officials of the federal government, and the Bible also tells us that in Romans and many other places that it is the role of legitimate government to hold the sword, to wield the sword, and to use the sword for justice. So when he's talking about that, I'm looking at that as the role of the magistrate to enact justice for what was done to Charlie.
I do think that is the role. I want to hear, but that to invoke hatred, which is wrath, a sin at that level, I don't think the magistrate needs to hate those that they destroy. Just forgive them. They didn't realize the danger they were tangling with. And
well, I agree as it pertains to Trump, but not Stephen Miller.
And also, Trump is just going to talk the way Trump does. That's frankly just how it's going to be. I don't know that we're ever. You just can't really police the way Trump.
At this point in the game, he's not.
Jetty
gonna...
E says, as
but
a
he
Mexican,
did say
I approve of everything going on here. Thank you. But I wanted to add
what going on. What is she?
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
Just a show and tell.
But he did say, I will admit that, or I will add, I should say, that he did say, I'm open to letting Erica convince me otherwise.
That's why I bring it up, because we're all capable of exhibiting antichrist behaviors, and we need to keep each other in check as we get more powerful and famous and well-loved. If someone were to snap and then start embodying sin, they would, in retrospect, like that was it's just a guy exhibiting antichrist.
But I think as what Jack is getting at, you were saying you were happy that in the aftermath of this, there was not an explosion of mostly peaceful protests, as we might call them.
Yeah.
And I agree that that's a good thing. But I do think latent within that reaction is the trust, the premise that there are legitimate state ways of responding to this, that they will obviously find and punish the killer, and also that they will prevent future assassinations like this happening, up to and including through, corralling these violently antisocial elements that want to kind of stoke low-level political violence across America and put all of us at risk.
And asymmetric violence.
If they lose their confidence that can occur, there will be people who will go in alternative, more radical directions.
And Ian, this is exactly what we were talking about last night on Timcast, that what happens when the legitimate authority, just on a practical level, what happens when a legitimate government does not rise to the level of that government, does not provide for the safety of the people, and then the people say, all right, if the government won't do it, then I have to do it.
Yeah, that'd be splinter into factional gang. We don't want that.
And that's what we don't want.
We needed swift.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking, let's imagine maybe the alternative extreme scenario, the most extreme scenario possible.
Hypothetical.
No, as in hypothetically, let's say there was a radical left-wing president, and this happened to Charlie, and the president came out and basically said he deserves it, and I'm going to sign a federal pardon for whoever did it.
Which is very similar to what Barack Obama actually said, by the way, after Charlie's murder. He kind of gave the comment where, this is terrible, it shouldn't have happened. He goes, but, and then he reads off this litany of things that Charlie actually had said on this show, on Thought Crime, but twisted in such a way and totally decontextualized to remind his listeners. And by all intents, Barack Obama is the leader of the Democrat Party. So he's sort of saying, hey, you shouldn't have done this, but he was a bad guy. He was a bad guy. And you shouldn't be sad. You shouldn't be sad about it.
So Joe Rogan brought this up when he said, I think the people who hate Charlie think he was a bad guy, and I think they were good guys. And I counter with, no, they didn't know who Charlie was at all. That's why the lies work. They are told by their death cult what to believe, and they say yes. So when Jimmy Kimmel goes on TV and says it was a MAGA guy who did it, they all go yes. And now when they're polled by YouGov, what do they say? It was a right-winger who did it.
I got this question I want to ask you guys particularly. A commenter said, hey, maybe Charlie would have wanted the man that killed him to receive multiple life sentences so that he had an opportunity to atone in prison and find God and really on his knee. And I had just been death penalty, no question, death penalty. And now I'm would it be better if he was able to suffer and
Well, Blake, you spent a lot of time with Charlie talking about this issue. What would, and obviously, Charlie had sort of an arc with that.
He did.
Where do you think he would be? I mean, it's an impossible question.
I don't think Charlie would admit to conflicted feelings about it. But as you said, there was an arc. He kind of earlier on, you'll see this pretty commonly with especially pro-life people on the right, where they'll feel they want maximum consistency, so they'll be opposed to abortion.
Well,
and they'll also be
Pope Leo's comment. Pope Leo's comments yesterday were all about this.
Right before he blessed ICE, as it were.
No, wait. I just want to contextualize this for people. I want to explain this. He wasn't blocking. He wasn't just blessing a block of ICE. it was a secret signal that he's blessing the ICE mission in America. Everybody missed
All
this.
I'm saying is he's
The big-
blessing
the-
ICE.
you see that
He's
big
blessing
wink?
ICE.
It's a
That's
big
all he did.
wink. He gives the big wink. Yeah, I want to bless ICE.
Exactly. No, so but then Charlie himself, I would argue with him about this because I would, first of all, you reject vengeance as a principle that why you would do this, but
Which is
there
what Ian
are
is saying.
yeah,
Yeah,
but there
wrath.
are valid justifications for the death penalty, and it's not merely that this individual person is dangerous. I feel the best argument in favor of capital punishment is that you have to show maximum levels of condemnation for the most destructive or evil acts in your society. To say something like this is so intolerable, it will be ripped out of the body politic like the cancer that it is. And I think political assassination, which doesn't just, end one life, it threatens to basically destroy the country because we have a system that is based on nonviolent resolution of differences through debate, through voting, through argument, and someone went and smashed that to bits with a rifle. And I think Charlie was very understanding of that when he was coming to accept that when you refuse to consider maximally severe penalties on the worst criminals, you're kind of exhibiting this general moral cowardice within your society and you're spreading it. Now, should the man have an opportunity to find God? Yes, but if he receives a proper trial and so forth, he will get all of those things. Far more than there are plenty of people, by the way, who are like police kill. They're killed in the act, for example. Like we will do lethal force to stop a criminal who is a danger to others.
Of course.
And sometimes we do that, and actually we end up killing someone who is actually not currently a threat to others. We accept the need to sometimes mistakenly kill somebody in order to have the general principle of protecting the public. And
There's even something much more simpler than this. If he got the death penalty, it would take 20 years. He'd have
well, that's
enough
bad
time.
though. I would strongly encourage us to find a way to reform that. Like no one who does something like a political assassination where like if you're able to prove their guilt, I suspect it will not be in any serious doubt. If you need to accelerate it, if you need full-time legal proceedings to make sure this is all done and dusted in 2 years, in 3 years, make it happen. Like,
Right, but functionally right now, if he got the death penalty, he'd be in jail for 20
yes,
years.
but we should definitely work on getting rid of that. But because one, that would actually make the death penalty itself more effective. We should never have someone getting executed where we need to trot out 30-year-old newspaper articles to remind them of why they were sentenced that way.
In 1901, when an anarcho-socialist murdered President McKinley, that anarcho-socialist, the assassin, was executed in the electric chair just 45 days after killing President McKinley. That was 1901.
There's a challenge in the structure of our society, its size, really. I was watching what was that 1912 or whatever that show is? I don't know, 1917 or something. And there's a scene where someone gets accused of pickpocketing. So they just grab the guy and string him up and kill him on the spot. That's how it used to be back in the day.
Probably not, though. Actually, like I think there's like an image people have of the past, and it's very mediated by like the media, as it were, and it can give you a mistaken impression of how it generally worked. Like we did, in fact, have a criminal justice system in 1912. Someone might get lynched in a rushed way, and that was bad, and that's why we would have campaigns against lynching. But like the criminal justice system, there's a big difference between even 45 days and immediately.
But think about the structure of evidence back in the day. You had no forensics. It was just, did someone see it happen or not? And do we trust the person? And people could lie or otherwise. It's actually,
Well, in the case of the McKinley's assassin, this was done. I believe it was the World Expo in Buffalo. So I mean,
public.
he was in front of.
Right.
He was a receiving line. And he walked up with a gun.
so for this community that all watched it happen,
Yeah, it was
it's
in public.
real easy to just.
And also, like Lee Harvey Oswald, they got him within a day or something of Kennedy's, and then Jack Ruby, the guy that killed him, got killed even right after that. Like, who knows? Maybe they were covering
him.
trails. Yeah,
Jack Ruby killed Oswald and then got killed.
And then
of
got
cancer.
killed. So
he died of cancer.
No,
Oh,
he
right,
died,
right,
no, he died of cancer.
And we know
Yeah.
the CIA has a
Yeah.
cancer gun. I think was revealed in the church.
Okay, well,
Yeah,
now
but
you're
to
something.
use a recent example, like Dylan Roof, I think America would have less
Pretty
racial
recent,
trauma,
yeah.
less political trauma in it if Dylan Roof, instead of sitting on death row to this day, occasionally writing letters to people and stuff that come out and like cause discord. Like, what if Dylan Roof had just been executed 8 months after that shooting in Charleston? I think
issue-
that would have made America a lot better place.
The issue I have
And that was
is
before
that
2020.
I think conservatives typically come from a worldview that we are in a country that is a community. When I think what we saw, 3 weeks ago shows that we are not. That there are people who do not live in the same country as we do, despite occupying similar land. And I do not want to give these people the power to execute who they see fit. I don't think Kamala Harris having the right to execute people is a good idea by any stretch. So, if the argument,
if she were elected president, she would have the ability to do that
she would.
under the current law. Yes.
So my point is, once again, if everyone in the country held the moral worldview of Charlie Kirk, we don't even need the laws. We don't even need police. In the country we have now, the argument for the creation of a mechanization of the state to kill means that you've got all the Soros DAs going like, let's start killing people. That's the challenge I have with it.
Well, but I mean I believe New York State still has death penalty.
No,
California.
I don't believe so.
Oh no. Okay. Well, then I know California does.
Yeah, though effective moratorium.
But that's my point. My point is that in these areas where you have Soros DAs or Soros control over huge swaths of territory, these are the very same policies where they're not doing that.
The reason I brought up Oswald is because I feel like they hushed it up. They didn't want, like this guy that's sitting in prison right now that killed Charlie, that what he was allegedly, the evidence seems to point to, he might come out and tell us something that was like, what? And have evidence. Like,
well, he'll get a trial. He will get a fair trial if he has mitigating factors. If he was, if there is something else that we don't know about yet, he will have the opportunity to present that.
I have a theory for you guys. This guy is a patsy who worked with leftists. There's appears to be evidence of coordination. Now, I'm not going to say that this is something I truly believe, just a thought. What happens if the evidence comes out that communication between him and his furry boyfriend seems very scripted? And this has caused a lot of people to start pushing conspiracy theories. Matt Walsh, I think, had the best point in that it looks like he wrote this to create reasonable doubt so that it could be used as exculpatory evidence for the boyfriend who was actually involved. What happens if in 3 months the boyfriend's like, oh, by the way, here's the proof I didn't do it. I did this so that the real killers could escape.
It's all...
Wait. The text messages were to prevent?
So Matt Walsh's theory, I agree with him on this, but I want to give him credit for it. The messages that came out from the FBI between the alleged assassin and the boyfriend have no typos and are written like theater kids, like it's a script. And liberals have come out saying this proves the FBI faked it, like the conspiracy theorists. Then there's just general conspiracy theories that's not real, the FBI faked it. I don't think that's the case at all, especially knowing Cash. Matt Walsh said, what likely happened is the assassin wrote this fake set of messages to the boyfriend so that in the event of a criminal trial where they bring charges against the boyfriend who coordinated and helped the assassination, they're going to show these messages to the jury and say, reasonable doubt, the messages show the boyfriend had nothing to do with it.
You're saying that the boyfriend himself was on trial?
Yeah, so the idea being...
No, I get that. Okay, I'm just being clear.
Yeah, there appears to be evidence of coordination.
Right, no. I get what you're saying. I'm just making sure I'm following the theory you're presenting because, I've seen as well that, and if you read some of the Daily Mail reporting that's gone out on this, these ideas that actually they were saying that it was the boyfriend who was more antisocial, that he was, people referring to him. And again, this is just based on their reporting. I don't have any direct knowledge of this, so, they could be wrong, right? And that, in fact, he was far more political than Tyler Robinson had been. And in fact, people are saying that it was them living together as roommates that really kind of corrupted Robinson. And so there's questions of, did he pull him into this group and do all this? Now, by the way, though,
theory.
none of that changes the fact of who was on the roof and who pulled the trigger. None of that changes that. Now, again, by assuming that all the evidence is true, et cetera, et cetera.
And also,
there's another theory that the boyfriend's actually the assassin. Wearing a disguise, they're both of similar height, gait, build, appearance. There is a theory that the boyfriend is actually the one who did it. And then The challenge. So here's what I think. I think largely it was a coordinated group of leftists. That explains the Discord chats. It explains the foreknowledge that was presented. It explains the weird nature of this message. And they didn't catch the guy until well after.
33 hours or something.
Right. And so again, I don't know, but one of the theories, we've seen the photo of the dude in the Dairy Queen. There's a lot of really kooky conspiracy theories about palm guns and trapdoors and exactly. However, what if the real shooter is the roommate? The messages were scripted to create fake exculpatory evidence, and they coordinated.
Then he's
this.
an accessory. Fry him.
He's still an accessory,
Well,
but either way,
I'm
though,
gonna have some-
Accessory to murder is full murder. Death penalty.
So another
I don't think
question.
accessory. I'm saying if there's a coordinated network, we've got a very, very serious problem, and I believe that's
well, and
more likely.
and
that would be
obviously, and by the way, you'd still, of course, need to present that in court. You need to
course.
present evidence of, all right, are there fingerprints? Are there, who had access to the gun? And by the way, the Tyler Robinson, the fact that it was again his father's gun, originally the grandfather's, but the father in control of it. This the fact that you have to say, okay, was the boyfriend physically, because there was about 3 hours away, so was he physically anywhere present? Can we prove that? You got to prove it. That's all I'm saying.
They had a bunch of vehicles came to their house in the week prior. Cash is investigating that. He's investigating the Discord servers. And he's publicly stated this. This is not a conspiracy. He's investigating these people who appeared to have foreknowledge.
And thank God he is.
Agreed. So it's fascinating when the conspiracy theories come out. I'm like, guys, there is a conspiracy. It appears. Cash is literally telling you he's tracking all of these things. I think we're going to find that there's more leftists involved in this. It was not
Right.
just
Why
the
did
lone
you
guy.
tweet this?
Right.
What did you know? And
how did you know it?
let's be frank, by the way. So I saw there were some Discords that came out that an account that has been associated with Tyler Robinson but it was more like a gamer chat. Think about the people who use Discord. All right. Are you really just in one room?
Yeah, no, it's like it's in several. You can have several accounts.
I've never heard of one person just in one room. I've never heard of that.
Yeah, so it's like they're like, oh, well, this Discord was apolitical. Yeah, because it was the apolitical like guys in my high school who play Halo chat.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you can also just join the I am a transgender lunatic on doing terrorism chat.
Then where's the furry chat and where's the furry porn, extreme furry porn chat that this guy was looking at, which included, by the way, depictions of like children or what they call cub porn.
These people are
in furry parlance, which is a term that I have to know now.
And if you have been on Discord, you will know transgender people are lunatics. Like they're just they're extremists and they take over things. So you can join some group that's related to something totally different, some game series, some hobby. But like the moderator will take it over and there'll be, some sort of furry or transgender thing. And then now the logo of your group has a permanent pride flag in the background. A very funny example of this is like the NFL subreddit on Reddit like has permanent the full trans pride flag is like still waving on it right now in their center icon.
Is that true? I'm looking that up.
I'm
looking that up right now.
On Reddit.
Got to use the
NFL
which form.
The NFL
NFL
subreddit.
subreddit. I'll ask another.
I mean,
question
I don't
when you
disbelieve you, but I have to see this.
While you guys are pulling up, just jump in.
Where
when you
on
get it.
the NFL subreddit?
It's the main NFL subreddit. You got to use the old form rather than the new form, which is what everyone prefers anyway.
I
What do you mean the old?
Look at it.
It's right there.
It's just Isaac Newton's prism light.
And then
array,
wait,
isn't it?
If you want to,
wait.
I have it pulled up actually.
And there you
if
go.
wanna grab it.
It's like games that are like on right
Right here.
now
Yep.
that
There it
they're referring to.
Yep.
right here.
Yeah, I think any ideology that
guys see
takes
it?
over a system is
it
probably
is.
a
Yep,
It's
right,
right
there,
there.
right there in the middle of it. Got all the colors you have.
And then right in the first top and the top thread there is Thursday Night Football.
Yep.
Why are people watching football, man? Watch baseball.
dudes are ramming into each other.
I think baseball's much better, but baseball's better.
so the furries like it.
So
Baseball is better like when the Phillies defeat the Dodgers on Saturday.
baseball's like playing. It's like pool. No wonder you like it.
the Cubs
It's more
win?
like accuracy.
I believe the Cubs did win, actually. I just saw that. And then shout out to the Cubs, by the way, because that was Charlie's team.
Moral question
I'm
about
a Sox guy from the
executions.
South Side, but when you leave Chicago, it's like the Cubs are your brother. So you can rag on them when you're in town, but when you're out of town,
They're your team.
Go Cubs.
That tracks. That
So
tracks.
with capital punishment, some people were like, or at least across my mind, public executions. We've kind of gotten rid of them in society because maybe they do more harm than good. And at first I was like, does this guy deserve to be lit up?
Is that true?
In front of groups? But my concern would be that the video would be taken of it, and then that would replicate 100 million times online. Little kids would see it, and they'd go even crazier, and it would do like.
Public execution.
So this is actually, it's
This
funny.
is a
I'm
thing that
looking at Blake because this thing that you're talking about is one of the things that people have been using to smear Charlie about, that he said on this program. I don't remember the date.
No, we were
but
debating.
Yeah,
the
we were
death
having
penalty.
this debate.
And then on top of that, we also brought up, I brought up what I've argued before. I was like, well, yeah, the death penalty is not a very good deterrent now because it's a thing that is done a handful of times
'Cause it's not
30 years
swift.
after the
It's
fact.
not- it's not immediate.
And I said, if you're going to do it properly, like it should be swift. It should be pretty consistently applied for certain crimes. So it's like if you do assassination, if you do multiple murders, like you will, barring extreme mitigating circumstances, get the death penalty. And then one of the things I argued is it should arguably be done like in public in some way. Like people should be able to see justice being
And Blake,
done.
what did you say?
And then I
What
suggested-
did you say? So
I
Charlie.
suggested-
So Charlie says, I think it should. And then Charlie had said, televised, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. He
something
said
like
he was
that.
like they should televise it. And then Blake added.
And then he threw out, he's like, and what age, like, should we have
then, yeah,
people
he was
watch
like,
it?
what
and
age?
I threw out, I was like, maybe 12. And to explain my thinking is, we have people in like DC, for example, where have you heard about the carjackings going on in
Yeah.
DC all the time?
They're horrific.
The people who do this are heavily minors.
Yeah.
Because if you are 20 years old and carjack someone, you trigger like the federal carjacking offense.
Yeah, and
you
you,
get 20
by the way, you
years.
see this
I-
on.
But if
you
you're a
see-
minor,
you see this
you just
every
go to
day.
juvie.
You know, a 13-year-old is involved in a shooting. A 13 in a carjacking. 13
You
is this.
guys are wrong. You're wrong.
Go deep.
14-year-olds are doing carjackings?
Let me tell you. I can't speak for the rest of the country. I can tell you in Chicago, the urban violence that we have would not be solved or mitigated in any way by public executions or death penalty.
I know what you're gonna say.
You do, because I've talked about it before, and you're going to agree with me. Maybe he won't.
No.
You might.
This is
So where I grew up, a lot of the shootings you get in Chicago are about dishonor. So I went night crawling with a journalist once, and I was like 5 corpses. They were one house was an old lady who got shot because 3 dudes pulled up and unloaded switches, sprayed into the house. They were looking for a dude who went on Snapchat and called the guy's girlfriend nasty or ratchet or something. Death penalty doesn't scare these guys because they want to go hard. If you take these urban criminals and the penalty is they have to put on a diaper and a baby bonnet with a pacifier and hop like a bunny down Roosevelt Avenue, literally straight down it for like 12 miles, while everyone lines up and films it, and they have to say, I'm a big baby boo-boo over and over again, they'd stop committing crimes overnight. And I'm not I know it's a silly thought, and it's meant to be kind of silly. My point is, if you tell them that you will dishonor them for life, they will hide from you and they will run in fear, and they'll do everything they can to avoid.
So you're saying public humiliation.
I'm totally for that, by the way.
I've often advocated, like, you know, I'll joke, this is less of a serious thing, but I've pointed out it could work because the left always says abolish prisons.
Right.
And I'm like, you could abolish prison, like a lot of prisons, if you basically just had a situation where you replace prison where on the low end, severe public humiliation.
Yes.
So your first offense will like flog you in public or make you wear a diaper
Or
and
the
do all of
diaper.
that baby
The
stuff.
flogging,
You
I
can
say,
do that.
bro, that makes them harder. No, but for real.
Flogging, getting flogged like on your
Doesn't matter,
butt,
bro.
on your bare butt is
Nope.
pretty humiliating.
These guys are gonna
In public.
to a certain degree, but getting beaten, anything that makes them hard, they like.
But the thing is
Like they don't say, I don't want to go to jail. They say, when, I'm not kidding. On the South Side, they say, when I go to jail, I will do this. When I go to jail, I will do that. If this happens to me, I will do that. They brag about how they might get the death penalty.
the reason you don't brag when you get flogged is if you're getting flogged properly, you start screaming really loudly while it happens because it's extremely painful.
I know you're saying that, dude, but these guys shoot each other for less. They know they will get shot for less in public. They don't care.
Blake was talking about a spectrum. So let's
Yeah,
let's
so I was
finish that
saying the
part out.
spectrum, which is, at the low end, you could humiliate someone in various ways. And I do think flogging
that'll
would
work.
actually be pretty humiliating. And then the higher end would be things like, oh, we're going to chemically castrate you because you are a habitual offender. That could be, or, literally castrate them. Either option. And then at the high end, death penalty. And then you would basically be able to get rid of vast majority of prisons if you had that level of escalation.
Not in Chicago.
Well, maybe Chicago, we should just
I can't speak for Baltimore or
build a
anything.
wall around it and not let anyone
Maybe.
leave.
So if you go to Chicago, you in these neighborhoods, you get the death penalty for saying F you. These guys do not fear being killed. They're listless, purposeless, and they are killed for much less than the crimes you're describing. They watch. Nick Shirley's got a great video where he goes to gang territory. They all carry around guns, and they're like, you'll die for being in the wrong neighborhood. The death penalty for crossing the wrong street. The flogging, I'll tell you this. Agreed, but it's got to be a guy, it's got to be a middle-class white dad-looking guy, and he's got to be delivering the flogging with a guy bent over his lap while he wears a baby bonnet and a diaper. Here's another thing.
Beautiful.
That's going to be very, very
Beautiful.
offensive, but I guarantee you will make these guys avoid doing crime. 2 guys who are accused of committing violent crime have to kiss each other in public.
Oh.
These dudes
Thuggin' love.
will
Thuggin'.
Can we get that video? Is there too much swearing in that video? We should show.
There's
Get the Thug and Love video from the Boondocks.
because we're on YouTube right now.
Oh, yeah.
You took
we're on
2
YouTube. I don't know
gangbangers
if you could play
who
that.
are accused of serious violent crimes, and you said, we're going to put you on stage at Grant Park, and you're going to kiss. They'd be like, I'm going to Canada. I'm going to Mexico.
What's the line?
I'm gone.
It's like I'm booting and thugging or something. I can't remember.
I'm half kidding about the kissing thing. The hopping down Roosevelt wearing a diaper and a baby bonnet with a pacifier, guaranteed it would work. Stockades.
With this situation with Charlie's death, I felt like the best like defense of it ever happening, something like this ever happening, was that the movement was impervious.
No, it's corking and thugging.
The movement
Corking and thugging.
It wasn't derailed by Charlie's death. It's still moving, if not even stronger than before. So obviously Charlie's loss is incalculable.
I have a question for you. I'll finish your thought. Sorry.
Oh, that if we break down into violence and start attacking in response, that's the response they want. I heard you guys talking about rules for radicals earlier.
Yeah, I have a question. What do you think is more cruel? We say no cruel and unusual punishment. What is more cruel? Putting someone in prison for 20 years or putting them in prison for 2 years, but while they're in prison, it's a glass front everyone can watch, and they have to wear a baby bonnet and a diaper the whole time they're in prison? Which is more cruel? 20 years in prison, and you guys can answer this too, or 2 years with a glass front everyone can walk by. It's in the middle of downtown Chicago. People walk by, they can point, and you got to dress
What
like
if
a
we
baby.
contracted with Mr. Beast and he let Beast contestants torment the prisoner in various ways? Like,
Can
so and so donated $10,000. You don't get a toilet for the next 3 weeks.
Only if Mr. Beast has to go first.
Actually, but no. So, what do you think?
If the
Just
guy-
because of
What's more cruel?
all of it.
If the guy had a 20 years sentence legitimately, it would be the humiliating seeing them through the glass. Like if it was 2 different dudes.
So I'm saying there's one guy.
But you're taking
And
20
the
years
court
of his
says,
life.
The court says you can go to prison
In
for 20 years.
If they put him in the hole, that's more cruel and unusual.
20
than
years in a
looking through
supermax
glass.
prison, or 2 years, but you're going to be in public and you got to dress like a baby. Which is more cruel?
Probably
Give him
20 years.
choice.
Probably 20
I
years.
feel like we'd be at serious risk that they would just embrace the baby aesthetic. Like we would have a gang called the Babies.
The
and, like they
baby-
would wear
the
they would all
baby
wear
gang?
diapers in public
Yeah.
all the time.
Torture
Yeah.
just doesn't work.
Like
I mean, I
they're
don't
pretty.
think
It's not torture.
Like I'm just gonna
I'm just
say,
saying-
urban culture is pretty good at making things cool.
Torture existed for probably all of human history until like 80 years
Actually,
ago or something.
This is really important for you guys. The Chicago gangs are all Catholics.
What?
The popes, the disciples. I'm not kidding. What are they?
Yeah, he's right.
Yeah, they tend to have
Isn't there
Catholic
an
names.
accolades or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Something switched, and this is a
There's
little
a
bit.
bunch of different popes too.
I'm zooming out once we developed television and we were able to record our own behavior and see how some of the stuff like beating women on it used to be cool on like a movie. Sean Connery would smack a girl, and then we were like, hold on, maybe now that we can see it from a distance, we realize this aspect of our humanity has
said
got to
that?
change. Just the culture in general is like stop hitting women on TV, and
Not-
torture is
I
another thing.
disagree.
Like, torture now that we can see the repercussions of it, like
Ian.
we've kind of pulled back on torture with
I
the
gotta-
Geneva Convention.
I gotta correct you
and
on that one.
industrial torture.
Striking women on TV is now comedy. I'm not kidding. Family Guy does it all the time.
Okay,
It's like
in
literally-
comedy you can pull it off, but like
It's funny to
aggressive,
people
like
to
you're
watch.
less than me. That energy is kind of like let's not do that anymore.
Like they have a whole bit of Liam Neeson like beating some woman.
Racism's kind of starting to vanish since the 50s and 60s, since television.
Not since DEI and wokeness emerged.
But it started to really like the whole world started to change when we saw ourselves from a distance.
Who did?
just the way we
You
behave.
mean like when
we
Buzz Aldrin
civilized
looked at the Earth and was like, ah?
that too. We saw the Earth from a distance.
Because you're saying that television, because it's so much more persuasive than print, especially on a mass scale, and even more so than radio because it's visual. That the advent of television and the mass spread of television from a commercial level and a personal level, particularly in the 1950s, and then that it may have led a sort of seeded the ground for the counterculture of the 1960s and the Cultural Revolution that we saw in the United States.
And in China, probably. Mao's Cultural Revolution kind of coincided with particularly radio.
There's not a lot of video of that. Radio, yes.
Radio, because that was like the first step is all audio recording, just records in general. And then Hitler used it, obviously, to mass form an entire society for whatever purpose he had. And then...
By the way, I am told to say happy birthday to Chris. So it's Chris's birthday out there. He's a big fan.
Big fan and good friends with Michael,
I just want
but
to
nobody's
say,
perfect.
and I just want to say, hey, Chris, happy birthday. Feliz Navidad.
Happy birthday, Chris. The reason I brought up is because if you could, this is such a horrible thing to say out loud, torture someone in a deep fake. So they don't have to actually get tortured, but you get to watch them suffer, but you think it's real because it's a deep fake. Would that be effective humiliation?
What if we could put people in a Neuralink where it would simulate being in prison for 20 years, but it only took 20 minutes?
That's coming.
Wouldn't people use that to just like also fake live a long time?
It's
or
a movie.
something?
There's a movie about this.
I was going to say,
And
isn't that a...
They take eye drops with nanites in them that hit their memories, and then they instantly get a memory of like skiing in Aspen or something. Whoa. And so there's like a woman and a
There's
guy.
Total Recall as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, the old Arnold Schwarzenegger, like, I'm going to take a vacation to Mars.
So there's like a guy, and he says we can sell this to prisons, and then we can do 20-year prison sentences overnight. And then the woman who works with them, she's like, this is supposed to be for entertainment. And then they get into a fight, and then she makes him go to prison for 100 years or something. And he's like, and then a minute later comes back and he's insane.
You could do the opposite too, where you put someone, they live their life 20 years go by, but they only remember like 10 seconds of it.
How about this? Serious. What if we could use a Neuralink and rewrite their brain? And it would keep their memories and their personality, but eliminate the ability to commit crime. Like literally, anytime they would commit any kind of crime, they would get physically sick and feel like scared.
You know, there was this old 90s show called Babylon 5, I believe.
I remember that.
where
Scott
they
Adams
had,
is on that
They
once.
had an episode where like instead of the death penalty, they would do death of personality, basically.
Wow.
And they would kind of do a version of that, except they would also basically rewrite your personality. So like you would come back as like essentially a pro-social, better person.
Well, I mean, this was the theory behind lobotomization.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Originally, that if we remove certain parts of the brain that target aggression
Would that be
or
okay?
whatever the variety is, I would say depends on the cause.
Let's say you've got somebody who,
Depends on the case.
Let's say there's like a brutal murder, and it's like death penalty warranted. And the courts are like, we can give him the death penalty, or we can rewrite his brain so that he no longer has the ability to be violent or do any of these things. He'll still go to prison for a certain amount of time, like 20 years, but, would you prefer that over the death penalty? 20 years in prison and a rewriting of their brain so they can never commit a murder again.
No, fry him.
I think that it's really going to start happening with Palantir and neural net, the ability to and graphene sensors, like super sensitive sensors where you can actually record brain waves and understand and reverse engineer thought patterns and stuff, that we will have the opportunity to blank people's brains, aspects of it without
But
medical,
then what
injecting
happens
anything.
when that system gets hacked?
That's the problem, man. That's the problem.
So I want to read some super chats.
Yeah, I
just
think
when
we probably have some stuff too. I think
I got one from A. Barnes. He says, nameless and faceless round 2. Who can name 3 leaders of Antifa? Who can name 3 leaders of Antifa? He says it over and over again because he thinks it's a gotcha. I'll say this. For legal reasons, I will simply direct you to Nate Friedman on Instagram, Nate Friedman _ and just watch his videos. So I can probably name 12 or more.
Yeah, I'm going through. I'm like, okay, so DT Antifa has this one. And people who have been charged, by the way, for various things. The person who assaulted me in Lincoln Square Park when there's that picture of us.
I'm going to put it like
has
this:
been named in court records.
Considering Trump has named them a terrorist organization, there's a whole legal minefield in starting to name people who we know are organizing these things and are working with funding. And I'm actually friends with a lot of them on Facebook, actually, because I know them from Occupy. And I would just say Nate Friedman is doing a really good job of investigating a lot of these people. All you got to do is look at his page, and he's got dossiers on these guys.
It's crazy.
Ladies.
The dude that I know on Facebook tends to type things like "pick up bricks." I'm like, I feel like I should report it to the FBI. And I'm like, then I think about the Nazis and how people would like inform on them when there was a Jew. And I'm like, I want nothing to do with this. Just distance myself from this crazy radical rhetoric.
You're right, Ian. Those are the same thing. Like being a Jew who owns a store is the same thing as being a violent extremist who wants people to go commit acts of terrorism.
Right, because pick up bricks.
Right.
We all know, like, it doesn't.
That's called sarcasm.
It doesn't. He's not commanding someone to go throw it, but like, what else would you be holding a brick for?
I'm not playing this game. Jack's not playing this game.
It's part of
Blake's
a
not playing
puzzle
this game.
of a
no, it's
command,
not.
kind of.
Tweedledee, Tweedledum, death threats don't fly anymore. Lock them all up. If Tweedledee says pick up a brick, if Tweedledum says the fascists should hit with bricks,
But
and then
what if he
Tweedleduke says
tweeted
there's
out?
the fascist?
What if he tweeted out, "Hey, fascist, catch"?
Right, yeah, it's sensitive to the time of that being on a bullet that was used.
Well,
so
look,
you're
if
like,
someone-
okay,
if
We are now in a post Charlie Kirk world.
well, then
And in a post Charlie Kirk world, I think a lot of those niceties that we used to play by, they just don't apply.
So
anymore.
what happens to
I'm
the
not
people that
playing game.
witness things like pick up a brick and they don't say anything about it? Are they now an accomplice?
It's not. No,
they're
it
cowards.
is. They are cowards. It is not a crime to not report a crime. However, you should, as a citizen of the United States, because you would want to know if someone was. So let's say someone had decided to, and I mean, look, let's be fair. Obviously, this studio, this Turning Point has faced numerous threats. You guys have been swatted and targeted so many times. So I would absolutely pick up the phone and call Tim or call you and say, "Hey guys, I saw this thing. You might want to key into it."
And this happens, and I've been in, this is current. I'm not going to get into specifics for security reasons, but I've currently been in contact directly with the FBI over what's going on. That's how serious things are right now. So my point is this. If Tweedledee says someone should kill fascists, and then Tweedledum points at Jack and goes, "Hey, look, a fascist," lock them both up. The point of what they're doing is they're trying to say, as long as half of the phrase is from one person and half is from the other, we haven't created an imminent threat against an individual. I say, I don't care. I'm not playing that stupid game. We know exactly what you're doing and why you're doing it.
Blake, are you like, what kind of level of, I asked these guys this last night, level of brutality are you at this point? Because I know you were there with Charlie when he was killed. Like Jack said, like 3 feet away or something, 6 feet away, 10 feet away,
3 steps.
And I imagine that changed your nervous system or something. Did it?
I don't want to presume things.
When we got here, he was screaming and punching a pillow.
But it was a pill that looked like Ian's. It was.
There's like, I ask only, and I'll let you answer if you have. I'm thinking of the My Lai massacre in Vietnam, where the troops were basically broken by seeing their friends die, and they massacred a village of women and children. And then they had to guy landed a helicopter, pointed the guns at his own men, and was like, "Stop, or I'm going to kill you all." And the captain got charged and then pardoned for it. Are you in that state?
I don't want to talk too much about it, not the least because I've been told not to say too much about it as an eyewitness.
Like Blake could be called at the trial.
Yeah, I'm not sure what I'd say besides what I saw, but I don't know. I guess I just would prefer rather not to wallow in that.
No, I would say though that Blake, look, you've been here every day since. I mean, you've been handling it, and everyone here who was there, including we have staffers here who went even beyond that. And I just don't want to get into it right now, but you know, it's and Ian, just to answer for Blake in a sense, you've never called for anything other than a fair trial. That's all he said. And we were here live when they announced the charges, and we had a very civil discussion about how we want this person to have a fair trial, and that's what we want.
I was nasty in one way. There was that fellow on the campus who, according to police, he like after the shot happened.
Oh, the older guy, yeah.
The older guy who like kind of tried to take credit for it. Now,
which he later came out and said he was trying to be a decoy.
exactly. And according to reports, he's like a known campus nuisance.
Right.
He, in fact, I think they had a standing order to arrest him if he was seen, but he blended in because there were so many people.
Yeah.
I would say I am so minded. I would say, like, why should that person not be charged as an after the fact accessory?
I don't understand why he wouldn't be charged. I don't think it's nasty at all.
He was attempting to help a murderer
He helped.
escape.
He helped a murderer escape.
Yeah.
I asked about what level of
It's obstruction
brutality.
of justice. It's
way more
it's
than that.
accomplice.
Yeah.
It's I mean,
So, like,
it's so many things.
I feel like we're on the precipice of like some sort of brutal
but
crackdown.
again, that's not brutality. That is
I'm talking about
justice.
now, government coming to use the boot of force on terror networks and like.
Based.
And in China, like we have the Tiananmen Square massacre that was incredibly brutal and then silenced the radicals in
terrorists,
China.
right?
According to the government, they were.
Indeed.
And then the Hong Kong riots, where they were out there spraying water mixed with, pepper spray with blue ink, so that they can burn these people's skin and then track them down later. Like
It wasn't to
what
burn their skin, it's to track them down later.
and it burned their skin in the process with the pepper spray. But what level of brutality would you be willing to accept to get this job done? Do you go
What job?
quelling the chaos? What I know
So
that's a
if-
vague term, and it's
again,
the problem with the
Ian,
Patriot Act and
Right,
domestic
let me
terrorists.
slow you down and try and explain something. I don't think you know what's going on in the world, nor do you understand what it takes to create a a society. And I'm not saying that derisively. You're saying, what degree of brutality are you willing to accept? Apparently, even the assassination of our friend has not changed our minds in escalating force in any unlawful way. So the point is, they have not only killed people we love and care about, they have killed innocent bystanders. They have shot people simply for driving their cars. They have imprisoned the president. They've arrested his lawyers. They have committed such egregious violations of our moral worldview. The degree of brutality, I think, let's just call it 100% brutality. Because I think when you arrest Trump's lawyers unconstitutionally, raid his home, target his family, when you arrest all of his business associates, falsely accuse him of rape, run him through the courts, try and seize his property, falsely accuse him of fraud, target his supporters, create a police force that goes nationwide, raids people's homes, we're talking about the highest degree of brutality.
So would you
the
be
question
willing
is,
to-
what degree of brutality are you willing to accept? Apparently all of it.
in return now, because like worst case, I'm picturing, we're gonna get moving, but to go like if Antifa were to hole up in a building, their leaders, and they're pointing their guns out and they're not letting guys in. Guy try to kick the windows in. Navy SEALs, 4 troops get killed. They're like, just blow up the building. They got civilians in there. Take out the building. We don't care.
Well, Jack, you were going to say something?
No, I'm just saying that if we do want to get to some more chats,
Thank you guys for letting me spur.
Let's read those before we lose time. Yeah.
Yeah, we're getting close. I think we're going to lose the studio, and it's just we started a little bit late,
Right.
but if there's any specific ones you wanted to get to, or
Yeah,
I
take a
don't
look at
see
some
any. I might have missed some on ours because I only started looking late.
Right.
So I apologize if that happened to any of you. But we can check the ones on YouTube too.
All right. Well, let me grab one. That's Enrique C says, between the hats, music, and the shout out, I feel very seen today. Longtime fan, love you all. I am Charlie Kirk.
what does he mean about the hats? I don't.
Maybe Ian. He's got a
still
little
not
hat.
sure.
I
Ian's
brought this
hat. Yeah, Ian's
in.
hat. Yeah,
Shout out to
wearing
the
a little hat.
Mexicans and everybody.
It's someone in chat said that it was like a yarmulke sombrero.
Yes.
A sombrero yarmulke.
You know me. Shalom. Yeah, shout out to all the Jews and all the Mexicans and everybody else.
Happy Yom Kippur.
That's today. I think.
Yeah.
I can't scroll. This is so annoying. I'm trying to scroll. Tim Neal says, "Wow, Ian, your account of the My Lai massacre didn't even one single fact." I got to agree. I pulled it up right away and I was like, "Ian, you're wrong."
What about?
Well, you said that like they were so shocked by seeing their friends killed or whatever.
Yeah, they were more battle fatigued.
It just says that they gang raped women.
They
and
did do that.
Mutilated bodies. Yeah.
And only one guy
And
got charged
children.
for it, the captain that issued it,
Yeah.
command. And Nixon pardoned him like 3
William
months.
Callie was the name, I
Yeah.
think.
But I don't trust
Callie?
Wikipedia anyway.
And
so who
by the
knows?
way, their public opinion was strongly on his side, if I remember correctly, because they viewed him as being extremely overcharged. I think we covered this like a while ago, didn't we?
I'm not sure. I don't think I was there if we did.
I remember just talking about this not long ago.
Yeah, not with me, I don't think.
Okay.
Farrah says, not much, but here's a donation for your security. I'll become a member tonight. Love what you do. Keep up the fight. And there's 2 things all of you can do, and you should do. You can join our Discord server at timcast.com, and you can sign up for Turning Point USA and become a monthly donor and help them do the work they're doing. And I don't know if your show actually has some an alternate form as well for membership.
There is CK exclusives if they want to sign up for that.
There you
With
go.
so I think it is what is it? Is it Charlie Kirk exclusive? Someone's
Just go to charliekirk.com. You'll see how to do it there. And there's exclusive content. Erica, who was here the other day, sitting right where Blake is. Tim, actually, where you're sitting right now is where Erica gave her speech. You know, that's the spot. And she said there are unreleased tapes and maybe speeches that were private for a fundraising group, etc., that people can go into. And so members.charliekirk.com to get there.
I wanted to address just what he was saying about security too. I've talked to, for the longest time, everyone always says don't talk about what's going on with security. Steven Crowder pointed this out. I've been talking about it a little bit more, and I've just had a few more conversations as of recent. Obviously, I'll keep it a bit vague, but in the past couple of weeks, the amount of threats we've got have been extremely serious and have escalated to the point where I'm in direct contact with the FBI, which is a pretty crazy thing to say because I wouldn't have bothered doing that in the previous administration. I think we did. We had a bunch of threats. We had the bomb threats of swattings, and they didn't do jack. This current FBI is taking it very seriously, and the threats we have are legit and very serious and probably the worst we've ever seen. I've been told quite a bit by everybody, just don't bring it up, don't talk about it, you make it worse. The problem with that is exactly as Steven Crowder pointed out, so I stand with him in saying this. If we do not explain to everybody watching that in order to have shows like this where we're goofing off and having philosophical conversations about morals and stuff, just doing this results in people taking real action to try and end our lives. And in Charlie's case, these horrible people murdered this man. I think it's important that we do talk about it when it does happen. I've talked about, the swatting's never stopped. We got swatted 15 times in 1 year. We just had security handle it. We say, we're just done talking about it. I mean, what's the point? Are we going to keep sitting? Are we going to be the SWAT show where we say, hey, it happened again? So with the threats that we get now, I do think when it's relevant, when it matters, we should talk about this. And I should tell you that it's very serious right now. It's extremely expensive. We are spending tens of thousands of dollars more than we normally do because of how serious it is. And I'm literally having to get on the phone with the FBI because of how serious it is. I don't want to go into any personal details, but let me just say these things are terrifying. If we don't talk about it, regular people have the perception that we're chilling, having a good time, making bank, life is good. The left, I don't think, experiences the degree of threats that we do. I will say this. There's a particular leftist personality who lives in a normal urban neighborhood with neighbors. Everybody knows this. And he doesn't seem to have a care in the world, despite having a massive audience and being a prominent leftist. And I have to move out of the city and get away because we had a pedophile try to break into my house when I was in Jersey. And
It's one of the worst things to break into your house.
Indeed. And the cops told me if I defended myself, I'd go to prison. So I'm like, okay, time to move, time to get away.
Well, you're not a child. He's not after you. You would have no reason to defend yourself. I guess that's their
It was
reason.
the kid that you were keeping under the bed that they would have freaked out
New
about.
Jersey
So it's
says
better
that if you
Just
can
kidding.
flee, you have to. And if you can't flee, don't worry. After you're charged with felony murder, we'll figure it out.
Even in your house.
In your house. In New Jersey, if you are in your home.
Liberalism, not
if
even
you are in
once.
your home and someone breaks in and screams that they're going to kill you, you cannot shoot them. The only circumstance in which you are allowed is if you are trapped. Now, here's the thing. You will be arrested. I asked the cops, I talked to a lawyer about this. They said, you will be arrested after killing this person. You will be charged with felony murder. At court, you will argue you could not escape. If, however, the prosecution will then argue, here's why you could have. If it is all brought to you and you answer the question that, well, maybe I could have escaped, prison. If you say, where am I supposed to escape to? Prison. Because what you're telling the judge and the jury is, I would rather murder a man than stand outside in the cold. You are not allowed to kill people in New Jersey. In Maryland, only if they try to break into your house.
This is a perfect example of why the next governor of New Jersey should be Jack Ciattarelli.
Indeed.
And make New Jersey red Jersey. Make that happen. We've seen, and we talked about last night, Tim, I think 3 independent polls now in a row saying that this race is either within the margin of error or is completely tied. That is a perfect example. Restore the right of self-defense to New Jerseyans. And yes, Yes, even as a Pennsylvanian, I will say that New Jerseyans do deserve rights. Well, case by case basis, perhaps. But the right to self-defense should be sacrosanct, and this is absolutely something that a new governor and legislature, of course, hopefully can push through.
And always remember the big picture rule. The reason this is the law is that when someone breaks into your home, the right implicitly sympathizes with the homeowner who is being attacked, and the left naturally sympathizes with the person breaking in.
Yes.
Should we wrap up? Should we wrap up?
We should. We're just about at time. Tim, this has been wild.
This is fun.
Oh, bro, it's been so awesome, you guys having us here and affording us the ability to do the show from Charlie's studio, to get to sit next to his great chair, to get to have IRL in the TPUSA buildings. It's an honor and a privilege.
Well, we appreciate so much that you came in, that you dedicated an entire week to this, to being here, and Tim's like, oh well, it's scheduling. No, come on, man, you still did it. You still did it.
And I don't want to downplay it. It's tough. Security is tough.
Yeah, and you still did it. And and I'm not saying I'm judging people, if they weren't able to make it to Memorial or something like that, but you were here. You were here at a time like this.
I'm honored to be invited.
Let's do it again.
Yeah, smash the like button, share the show on both channels, subscribe to all the shows. You can follow me on X and Instagram at Timcast.
They ordered me onto X now.
Yes.
I'm there.
Blake is now a real boy.
Blake S. Sneff.
A real boy. Blake, of course, was smeared and doxxed and had been canceled in 2020, right?
Yep.
Yeah, in 2020.
Not a good time.
By CNN, and his first video went viral with you and Tucker Carlson sitting right here and talking about how it was Charlie Kirk who said, you know what? I'm going to hire that guy. I don't care what they said.
What is your Twitter again? Blake?
At Blake S. Neff. It would be Blake Neff, but I had to delete that one when they doxed me.
maybe.
So now I have to add my middle initial
cool.
to it.
Can you get it back?
Thanks, man.
They didn't let me right now.
Maybe Elon will. If Elon's listening.
Maybe. I'll have to go get his number.
I know a guy. Blake,
He just
I know a
released
guy.
Gavin McGinnis a few weeks ago.
Yeah, he's got
It's
his
nice to
back.
see.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ian Crossland.
Finger on the pulse. At Ian Crossland. You can find me there, everywhere on the internet, YouTube, Twitter, all the good websites. Follow me at Ian Crossland. Again, man, thank you guys so much for hosting. Thank you, Charlie, for everything you've done and what you've built. And we will continue this process and make it even better than you could have ever imagined. Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, as always, go out there and commit more thought crime.